Welcome back, everybody. The Rainbow Six NAL, Doa, Cookies, and Jacob here with you on the desk. We just saw a pretty great one between Beast Coast and Parabellum, but it's time to move on. It's time to move on to our second match of the day. It's going to be Soniqs versus Astralis. It's going to be the NAL champs taking on a team that has a big name, but kind of still looking for those results to match, aren't they?
I think we're still looking for a reason to prove it. They, quote, deserve the brand. I think that was a quote from Super from way back when. He was calling them Astralis back when they were still, he was calling them Disrupt back right after that pickup happened. But now we're looking at a Sonic squad, 6th place, 5th through 6th, back at the 6th Invitational, and I know almost nobody expected them to get that high at the World Championship.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely, another one of my former teammates, Yeti.
Sure.
Right? It was crazy seeing him at SI. From where he used to be, because he used to be down in the dumps with me, right? We were on some dookie teams, and this guy, ever since he's teamed with Super Seth, it's like he transforms players, right? And people can say what they want about his mechanics or whatever. I've seen it in the flesh. You can take someone from the gutter like that to SI top 6, that applies to pretty much everyone on Soniqs, but
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing is, I was actually in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. I had a chance to sit down with Super and talk to him and talk to the rest of the team. And I've met people like him in esports before, and the thing that always strikes me about those types of people is just how driven they are. They don't have time for things like social niceties because their brain is 100% focused on the game that they're involved in, And I respect that. It can be a little bit abrasive. It can be a little bit off-putting at times, but it's really always a ton of fun to talk to someone who's so zeroed in on what they do and what they're passionate about that, it's just great. It's a pleasure, right? And you can see the results. I mean, you can see what Super's been able to do with this roster that he's kind of built around himself, essentially, and that type of leadership produced results last time. Is it going to produce results this time? I think we're going to take a look at the map bans here in a moment so we can find out where they're playing on, and then once we figured that out, we can go ahead and talk a little bit more about what that means for this particular one. So here we go. Things banned out. Clubhouse and Cafe out the door immediately.
Yep. That's expected. If the Soniqs for any reason allow Cafe to be anywhere close to the map that they play, something is very clearly wrong. The world is on fire and hell is frozen over. They are never going to touch that map, so it makes perfect sense for why they wouldn't want to bring it out in this case. Clubhouse, another one that Astralis themselves have never played, at least in Stage 3 onward. They do not want to touch it. Chalet to Villa to Oregon. It looks like we're keeping the new maps yet again towards the very end of the rotation, which is interesting. So, no, there we go. Finally, Theme Park, but the odds of us playing on a new map seem like they're right there. Soniqs and Theme Park never really seemed like it got along very well. Bank getting banned out by Astralis is interesting. I'd argue that's the only map they have a 100% win record on since Stage 3, so they don't want to take it in this case. So it's either going to be Border again or Skyscraper. One of the two, and it's Skyscraper.
All right.
No history for any teams on Skyscraper matters at all because that was a 4 to 5 year ago thing.
Exactly.
First time we're seeing it in North America. This is going to be interesting.
So it's really like a lot of theory crafting map wise with that. Cookies. Any wild theories you want to throw out?
Well, I can tell you right now that is one hell of a dice roll if you're Soniqs actually, because you're really and you should. Super's mastermind, Naked 9, whatever. This guy. They probably dry ran 7 trillion hours of that.
Sure.
They're confident. They think maybe can out-prepare Astralis because it's always like an arms race between teams to see who's going to come out with something crazy for the new map and all that good stuff. So, if I had faith in anyone to pull it off, it's probably Super and his Soniqs.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, why don't we talk a little bit more about Soniqs as well? And, when you look at this lineup, again, this is a team that is pretty undisputedly built around Super and around what he wants in teammates. Basically, he's essentially the coach. He's kind of the coach of the team.
Yeah. Obviously
the IGL. But what is it, do you think, about the way he does things that's produced so much success, Jacob?
I think his mind for the game is so oriented around success from an attacking point of view because he's always ensuring that he can get a plant down and every single member of his team has a crossfire ready. They're prioritizing plants with 4 to 5 men up if possible. They don't want to lose anybody. They want to just cover Super while he gets in, provide enough space, and then get the plant down. So once they get to that spot, they're essentially unbeatable. Defensive roams are always based around, is there somebody off drone, essentially like Grixer or Yeti playing a rat spot, no one drones, and then they'll come out of the shadows and surprise, we're here, and then they'll go for kills on defense. That's a really hard roam to stop. Both of those aspects make Soniqs a really formidable force. And that's not even setting aside the fact that they're fantastic fraggers anyway. Like, Grixer and Kansan are also both fantastic in the clutch. There's a lot of reasons to look at the Soniqs team as incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, and I want to comment on this one too. I don't know if that video is actually played yet. There was a video that Bodega had a how to not be mid, and it had Super as like a freebie.
I'm pretty sure we'll see that later.
If you kill Super, you win. Everyone says that. Now, let's think about it in practice. How many situations can you just walk at Super and then act as if Grixer on your left or Kansan on your right is just not gonna piece your team up? You can't just ignore those guys, right? You can't just walk at Super and win. It's not that simple.
They're literally Super's protection detail.
Literally, this guy has like the freaking Secret Service. I mean, it's like, I can't see how that's like a winning strategy for a team, to be completely real with you. So,
interesting.
If you're Astralis, I don't know.
It's not really protect the VIP, but...
It's not, but it's like, you can't just have a simplistic game plan like that, right? So, I'm hoping they have something deeper. That's why they picked up Call Out.
Well, so part of it is the intricate plans, right, that come through when Super's plotting things, right? Where it's like his plans, obviously, he's definitely not the player with the greatest stats in the league. You know, that's taken into account, right? And so it's other players like Grixer who we're going to focus on a little bit more that might be there to sort of like get the kills, put up the numbers, right? And so that's kind of how it all ends up seeming to work from my limited knowledge of what it works, is that Super accounts for himself, right? And he accounts for players like Grixer. So when we look at those numbers, Jacob, like, does that make sense? Does that seem to fit the whole scheme?
Oh, yeah. I think he honestly probably even has more kills than what this is suggesting, because this man was #1 rated overall at the World Championship. The Six Invitational as a method of showcasing your skill, that's fantastic. I want to say he was also #4 rated so far for Siege GG over the whole course of competitive play for last year, and there's a reason for it. He was MVP back in Stage 1, if memory serves, of the NAL, and kept that streak going. Especially when Finkus came into the meta, he adopted that. He's an LMG fiend, and that trend should continue. I don't see him slowing down anytime soon.
I mean, LMGs are pretty popular, so it's a good meta to be.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're pretty big these days. And look at that face. That's a stare of intensity from someone like Grixer getting ready to put his headset on. He's going to stay well hydrated, which is also vital, by the way. Take a drink of water out there if you haven't already.
You know what's funny? I love that you said that, because as we talk about Astralis soon, Forrest, one of his cliche sayings was stay hydrated and H2O this. And Forrest is so freaking funny. But I'm just glad you said that, because
it's important.
If you know, you
know.
Forrest,
people end up being more dehydrated than they think they are all the time, right? So Grixer obviously not going to have a problem with that. But the question is, will they have a problem with their opponents in Astralis? Like, I've been talking to people, there's words have been said about maybe this one being slightly more one-sided, but I feel like at the beginning of the stage, we really kind of have to take things as we see them, right? You've got the stats from last year. You've got what players have said. You've got the scrim bucks, as it were, that have been built up, right, in terms of the practice that these teams have had and what their opinions of that are. But as you look at this roster here, what is it going to take? What is this roster going to need to do to take down Soniqs, Jacob?
It feels like they're sometimes a very tentative team.
Sure.
A first step is something that takes a while to get going. The question of who's meant to be dedicated entry is what I'm curious if it'll get answered. Will it be Forrest, the newcomer coming in? I'm hoping that actually kind of is the answer, because everyone else on this team is fantastic in the mid-round. J9, Iconic, DP Fire. This is just a question of identity. It's been a crisis since Stage 3, and if it gets sorted this stage, then that's going to enable guys like Shuttle to fill in more adequately for Retro, who's no longer on this team. They actually have a question, who's filling the roles out? And once that's all situated, then you let Call Out do what he does best and strategize, not as an IGL this time, but from the back line, and really giving his team an advantage from there.
Also with Call Out, this is like a dude, he's so philosophical. It's not even just strategy, right? It's the mental side of the game. This dude reads.
This
ego
kind
is
of
the
is
enemy.
His religion, I feel like. Call Out.
he preaches ego is the enemy to his team. And you know what? I think, like you said, this team plays really stiff, or they did. And I'm praying to God that they have all these young, youthful players You have Shuttle, who used to be known as a guy who'd fly around and destroying things. Just activate, just like what I said earlier. Like, I think Astralis is a dark horse if they actually live up to that and actually play at a high tempo, play with some speed, with some intensity, with some momentum. Because otherwise, it's just like, they're not going to beat a Soniqs team that way. They're not going to beat Soniqs playing in place, just like a bunch of, like, they have rocks and anchors in their boots.
Yep.
You got to take up the training weights, man. You got to be like Goku and let yourself power up,
float
right?
around a little bit, you know?
There you go. Well, let's talk about one of the people that might make a big difference here today and over the course of the season. It's going to be J9O. Jacob, what is it that you think he brings?
Well, he was the kind of guy who would always have great performances in spite of his team managing to always fall short. Remember that one Coastline game where he like nabbed 22 kills, but they still lost like 7-3? He was going everywhere. He was flying across the map, and I feel like he's never truly been properly activated, or his skills haven't been utilized in the way that leads towards success later on in the round. He's getting a lot of backup from guys like Iconic, who, even though they don't play necessarily fragger-centric operators all the time, are still going to be like a second or even third line in, especially when they're attacking. But is he going to be entry? Is that going to be Forrest? He could very well get put on the hot seat and allow him to try something like that instead. I don't know if you want to put like a Sledge player in that position, but I feel like there are a lot of things that J9O can do going forward. I just don't know what the answer is yet.
I mean, that's kind of one of the fun things I think about, like, day one of the season, right, is we've got all these questions, right? I mean, normally in these kinds of segments, we talk about results. We talk about things that have happened, right, in a past tense. But there's so much new going on that it's just a lot of questions today and a lot of, like, well, we just kind of need to get in the game and see what happens, you know? Yeah.
I like the way in which Astralis has kind of set themselves up for success, but it feels like there was always one little thing that wasn't fully giving them the space to operate, whether that was the strategies that they were using or it was the players in specific positions. And I do feel like cutting Retro is going to equate to them cutting off some dead weight that wasn't really helping them last year.
Wow.
Like, all the respect in the world to Retro for like the career longevity that he's had, but I feel as though you need to inject some like a different like strategy or some new blood into the unit, and Forrest along with Callout should be the proper combo. Should. That's the key word.
You know, honestly, like, this is kind of a storyline that I heard a lot. Like, I mentioned before, I got to be in Las Vegas during some of the media day stuff a couple weeks ago, got to talk to about half the teams, and a lot of the new players coming in, a similar kind of thread that some of them brought up is like, you know, we have a lot of respect for the people that have come before us. We have a lot of respect for the veterans in the league, but, you know, they're kind of old and tired. It's time to move over. You know, we've got the mechanical skills that they lack. They might have the strats, but we're the one who are going to be clicking heads, right? So, to a certain extent, Cookie, do you think this is going to prove true? Do you think it's going to be mechanics finally starting to push a few more of those veterans out the door? Or are these kids a little bit, they're just talking too much?
You know, what's, at least in this particular matchup, what sucks for Astralis is, quite frankly, the reason the Soniqs are as good as they are, I think they're kind of the model of what I'm talking about. Like, if you go back to last year, I mean, Yeti had been around for a while, but it's like, most of those guys were kind of upcoming players at the time, like Rex and the Yetis, especially Kansan. Kansan literally just came out of slums.
No CL experience, just right up.
Yeah, that
and me, you know, like you know what happens when you marry players that are hungry like that with, I know marry's a strong word. Marry those guys with
what kind of contract is this?
You marry those guys with someone who's like a veteran, knows what they're talking about. It's like a dad figure for them.
Sure.
They play out of their minds. Astralis, unfortunately, like, you know, I feel like the Soniqs are a little more established version of them, quite literally. You know?
Okay. Huh. Do you see those similarities, Jacob?
Yeah, the idea of having a lot of, back when they first came into the league, raw, unproven talent with a lot of hope that did have veteran presences in a guy like a Yeti, but then they combined forces with Super and look at the championship caliber roster they've turned into, right?
Yeah.
Astralis kind of had the same thing. We were worried if it was a whole bunch of kind of kids running the house, so to speak, back for the old version of the team that had a lot of guys who quite literally had just turned 18 only a couple of months prior. So yeah, I definitely see the similarities there.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we've talked enough about it. It's time to put our predictions on the line. Yours, of course, not mine.
Take responsibility for the coin, Doa.
I can't. It's literally a random force. But you know who else has to take some responsibility? Our casters, who are going to be bringing us the action. Of course, it's going to be Pengu and Jonah this time around. How's it going over there, guys?
Well, Doa, thank you for the warm intro. It's going pretty well, and it's great to be here for the first time with you, but we have got some business to take care of first. We've got to talk about our prediction and see who we think is going to win this one. I mean, I got to go to you first to figure this one out.
Yeah, and I feel kind of bad because we also just happened between the previous match, and I was thinking Parabellum, easy dub in the bag, right? Simple as that. When in Beast Coast, they showed up in good force, and they showed us how wrong we are and how right the coin is. So I'm feeling kind of bad when I'm like, Soniqs versus Astralis, that Des kind of spoke about it. It seems like an obvious choice. Top 6 invitationals. Soniqs have had an incredible last year.
I want to go.
Say it.
Yeah.
Soniqs.
Soniqs.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm gonna just take it.
I want to say Astralis.
Okay.
It feels like the right thing to do, but the problem is, I can't. I just can't get myself to do it. I think the Soniqs are going to take this one as well. That's just the way it is.
I'm not gonna lie, you had me for a second because I thought you were gonna stick with Astralis and say, chaos, this is zone I want to live in, but double Soniqs, let's see if they can do it.
All right, I'm not surprised. I guess I'm not surprised. I'm a little bit disappointed maybe that nobody has faith in Astralis, but I can see why the numbers don't lie, right? But how about the two of you? We'll go with you first, Cookies. What do you think?
Well, you see, Jonah, he indeed said, I want to pick Astralis. I also want to pick Astralis the way I want to go on a diet. And you know what? I'm not picking him today. Not in this matchup. Like I said, I think the Soniqs are just literally them, but like a year. They have like a year on them, pretty much. They've got a lot of years in terms of, even if you compare Call Out and Super, it's like, Super is like Mesozoic era compared to Call Out. So it's like, it's really hard. It's really hard to pick Astralis. So I'm going Soniqs. Easy.
All right. So Cookie's going to Jurassic Park. He's picking Soniqs. We're leaving the Mesozoic era. What about you?
I would like to be the contrarian just for the sake of being the contrarian.
Okay.
But it goes back to something that Cookies himself actually mentioned. The idea of a new map that we've not seen in this region before, and there are two teams with very different established pedigrees in the background.
Sure.
I have far more confidence that a team like the Soniqs will be able to convert this into their playground, really destroy any pretext or any idea of what teams in different regions have done on this map. They will mold it into their own thing, and I think they'll take the game.
All right, so 4 for Soniqs, and that means there's only one more to consult. It is the coin. The coin was right the first time. So we're going to go Soniqs for heads. We're going to go Astralis for tails. It's Soniqs. The coin.
Even the
broken
coin.
is heads.
God.
I don't know if you can see that. It's heads. The coin picks Soniqs. So there you go. The coin is wise. The coin knows that, going up against the NAL champs, maybe not the wisest thing, but who knows? It is a random coin after all. It actually has no intellect. Yep, that's right. And so while we kind of gather the results of, or we gather the things together for the community pool, or poll rather, everybody go on Soniqs. Everybody, even inanimate objects. Astralis with a seemingly insurmountable hill to climb with this. If there's one thing that's going to get it done for him, what's it going to be? One thing.
The coin.
The coin predicted against him.
It already has. Oh, you're talking about for Astralis? Oh,
yeah.
Honestly,
Soniqs doesn't need help.
Again, that entry question matters to me a lot, though. What do you do if you're a team that has a new coach coming in and like I'm sure he probably would have cooked up like stats or strats back for Skyscraper, but he hasn't needed to do that even in a CL context. Back when he was coaching Wichita Wolves or he was playing for Wichita Wolves, that was never something he ever had to consider. So I'm not sure.
Well, I can tell you this: when he was back on that team, Call Out is the king of cooking stuff up. Let me tell you.
Like on the fly stuff.
Even on a map like Oregon, he comes up with weird mirrors, weird this and that. That's the type of thing Astralis is going to need to win this game. They're going to need to literally reinvent Skyscraper, and whatever the Soniqs had prepared in advance would have to be useless. It'd have to be something like that, where it's literally just confusing for them.
Maybe there's a chance Astralis can be a little bit more innovative on Sky on defense, but if we're talking about overall performance confidence, that's still firmly in the Soniqs corner.
For sure.
Okay.
I don't disagree.
Just look at the metrics, bro. Look at the numbers. Soniqs win all the time.
All right, well, let's check out our community poll. Let's see what the question is for you to mull over, to consider here. Who's the better trash talker?
That is such an unfair
Super
poll.
or Iconic? Yeah, I feel like one-sided matchups.
Iconic. I'm sure Super's probably going to win just because he's a bigger streamer, but Iconic, I swear, when I first met Iconic, this dude, all he did was talk to me like he was crazy, like just talking out the side of his neck. Iconic, why don't you live up to the trash talk today and beat Super?
I mean,
like your former IGL. Let's go, baby.
It's Mastermind against Batman GIF on Twitter. That's 90% of what he posts these days. So yeah.
Yeah, but who is vengeance? That's the question,
True. Yeah. Again, like it's the nature of the poll, but I'll vote for Iconic because I do think
All right.
Old iconic.
All chat
looking
warrior.
guy.
I used to I used to be an all chat.
All right. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll let the chat decide. Let the chat decide. That's not our domain. What is our domain? My domain specifically is to send it back to the casters to start this match. Let's go ahead and do that. Take it away. Let's get it started.
Well, this one should be a fantastic match for us to kick off our casting duo debut. Once again, I'm Jonah. I'm joined by the one and only Pangu Nick. We're here to hopefully showcase what could be a bit of a comeback story for Astralis as they enter 2022. They've got a lot of work to do here, and going up against Soniqs is an intimidating place to start.
Indeed. And not just that, but they're also on completely new ground of Skyscraper. Neither team has played it. That means that Soniqs, they don't know how Astralis plays, and vice versa. And I think it's going to come down to who actually has the better understanding of the map from the get-go, from practice itself, right? And we talk about practice, and we talk about theories, Super always comes up. He talks about how he's the coach of the team, even though he's not technically the coach, he's a player, but he has a very big say when it comes down to the strategical element of how Soniqs approaches each and every single map.
Can't forget about Callout, though. Our analyst has mentioned that you've got this mind behind Super, but you've also got this brand new brain behind this Astralis organization. You've got Callout, who's coming in this year. He's joined by Forrest, who has worked with Callout before. Of course, Forrest, the player, not the coach. And this duo, with Callout at the helm, could potentially be exactly what Astralis needs to make up for essentially that brain of Super, that part that they were maybe just missing last year. Maybe that's what can put them over the edge. But on Skyscraper, like you said, it's a perfect place to see how much work these two teams have been putting in the offseason. You go to a map like Skyscraper, it is so unknown. Have the Astralis boys been putting in enough work to bridge the gap that was already there between themselves and the Soniqs?
No, certainly. And it's a map that's been out of the game for like 4 to 5 years, competitively speaking. So it's not even like Super is an veteran. He has more experience. It's not like Super really has any relevancy when it comes to how Skyscraper actually plays out, because not only has it been a very long time, but it's a different kind of Skyscraper, right? It got reworked. Some things are different, even though I would say that majority of the primary bomb sites, they do look similar or they look the same. I don't know if you saw earlier in the player camp, so Yeti actually hit us with a flex, showing us those biceps. Yeah.
I mean, clearly they're feeling confident. They wanted to go to Skyscraper, but I think Cookies said it perfectly, where he said, for a team like the Soniqs, it is risky to go to an unknown territory, because on paper, they already know that they are better than Astralis. They should theoretically be the best team here in in NA, minus TSM. They are the NA champs. So going to this unknown territory, you're throwing in a little unknown element that maybe they're going to regret at the end of the day if Astralis come out and surprise them. Of course, we're just guessing at this point because we don't even know what this map is going to look like at the pro level. I mean, at least here in NA. We saw it a little bit over in the other regions, but Skyscraper is a first for these teams. It's a first for us. I know neither of us have casted this map before, so that should be pretty fun. But we are here to discover this map with the players and hopefully see what kind of developments they've been working on in the offseason. Yeah,
and it's been a very interesting day so far, because the very first day between Beast Coast and Parabellum had Border. That's one of those, one of the 3 new maps that we got. We got Border, we got Skyscraper, and we got Theme back inside of the map pool. So we could see a possibility here where the first 3 games will show us all 3 new maps back to back to back. And yes, we've seen these maps played out in other regions. APAC played a ton of Skyscraper. I don't actually know if Europe played Border or not the other day, but I'll have to check. But now we see it for the first time in North America, and every single region is just have slightly different approach to the maps, even though we all play the same game.
I love what this is saying about the region, though, and about all these teams here, that they are not here to play the same seeds that they've been playing for several years. They're here to keep it interesting. They want to bring these new maps out, and hopefully we should see some exciting new strats and some new metas being developed as well. In terms of the operator bans,
nothing new.
Nothing new, right? We've got the Thatcher taken off the board first and the Flores to follow. Nobody is shocked about that. Those Rotero drones can be extremely pesky to deal with as a defensive team. They can just roll through that setup, destroy those shields. Seems like both these teams do not want to deal with that.
Yeah. So then we're going to see here now what the second defender, or the first defender, will be. Right? That's the mirror of the board. Nothing out of the ordinary either. And if we were to guess right now with the lineup, Valkyrie, should be following through as the final defender to be banned out, and no, it will be a kite instead, actually, and that's going to allow the attackers a little bit more favor of opening up the walls, with that Thatcher also being off the board. Sure, the Maverick will still be great. You get the 2 grenades, you get the torch to burn through the walls, but you're not in dire need of playing that operator anymore, and that's going to give Soniqs a lot more flexibility on their roster.
Well, part of the discovery on any new map is well, what sites are we going to be seeing from these teams? It looks like we are going to get a hint at the first one is bedroom and bathroom coming out from Astralis. That is on the house side of this Skyscraper map. And like many maps in Siege, it is likely going to depend on a little bit of a vertical extension. Not all of this map is soft destructible. It's not like Border where the entire map can be blown up with a couple of explosive charges, some frag grenades, and a nice little breaching hammer, but it is on this side of the map, very dependent on that vertical destruction. Up above in Office, in Museum, you can see that that floor is entirely destructible. There are some areas that you cannot get through, but look at this. That is why the setup from Astralis is going to be so vital on this top floor.
Yeah, and we got a tanker repick now in the game, so no more reveal phase with that 6-pick. And we actually see bottom left of your screen, Rexen was showing off the Twitch initially, but they went to the Bug. We saw Super and Ibana go into the Ace, and this just speaks again the verticality that they want to approach to this bomb site. And when we think of Skyscraper in terms of like theoreticals, I always see Skyscraper kind of play out the same way as Villa or Chalet, where, well, if you're defending, you know, Master Bedroom, you probably want to go up above and defend that verticality. And if you're an attacker, that's exactly where you want to go to attack, right? You want as much map control as possible, lock down the flanks, and then start, you know, just destroying the floor and assess or basically put as much pressure on the bomb side as possible.
Well, here they are already going through that very step. They're working their way to the top floor, at least both Rexen and it appears that Kansan was doing that a moment ago. The presence of the Buck, of course, is a pretty good indication of what the Soniqs have in mind in terms of the job they need to get done on this site. And we can already see Yeti doing some work with the breaching torch on the Maverick, trying to open up that office wall that has those bandit batteries on that Shuttle has been bringing into the mix here. So we're already seeing them get this clear underway. The Soniqs have now opened up that wall with the skeleton key from Rexen, and now it's just about forcing Shuttle out, forcing these roamers, these extended defenders on that top floor to back away.
Yeah, and so far we see that, but J90 actually running out the door, gets almost a kill, but gets shut down instead as Kansan opening kill for the side of Soniqs, and that is the ARS is doing good work.
Well, the runouts here on Skyscraper, it was something that was always in the meta on Skyscraper, on the old Skyscraper in Ranked. But here, in the competitive area, we are going to be seeing that just the same. Already proving that on that first kill, and the second one found by Yeti with a nice frag grenade, some good intel work there from the team, and they'll be able to deliver a kill because of it. Iconic looking to maybe get an answer here, not looking to give up the top floor for at least early on, but he'll eventually drop down and rejoin his team down below in Kitchen.
But look how far the Astralis are playing, right? No one's really nearby each other. Run out, no support. The nade then for the window, no support. And now Iconic in the kitchen has no support either. It's DP Fire on the bomb side trying to find something as well, but nothing is being found. So far, it's all Soniqs picking up 3 back-to-back.
Yeah, Rexen gets another. Iconic and Shuttle, they will have an answer, and Shuttle drops down and gets a double kill. We're back in a 2v2 just like that, but Shuttle on low HP needs to be very careful about how he proceeds here. Just one bullet, a breath in his direction, and he is done for, but Iconic picks up one more, and Rexen will get the trade. We're back in a 1v1, but the early gunfight, Shuttle takes the fight, and it looks like Soniqs were not prepared for it. That is well played from Shuttle and Iconic. That was a 2v4, and they're able to bring that back and take the round.
Looked extremely one-sided for Soniqs, right? They got all the opening picks, no answers back, and out of nowhere, Astralis, they just found pick after pick after pick. Shuttle got a kill, dropped down the hatch and got a second, and then Rexen, he got the 1v1 against the 1-health Shuttle on the Bandit, but in that window prompt, when you got a vault through a window, you're stuck in animation. It is so hard to fight back, and then it's Astralis taking the first round here in Skyscraper, and now the bomb site is up above. Previously, where half the round pretty much concluded, is now where it's going to start.
Really good start of that round from Soniqs, though. They showed us that they've got what it takes to enter through that map and clear it for the most part, but then things caught a little bit of a hiccup. They just could not deal with those final 2 players, and that's something you just got to work on, that transition between that clear and that execute, because all you need, as we just saw, is a couple of pesky defenders on the defensive side, and, well, you can have a really tough time in actually getting that done. So we do have a little bit of a tech pause here because it seems like one of the players couldn't move their drone around or something like that, but as soon as we get these players back in the lobby, we will, of course, get going.
Yep, so it is a tech pause. It is not a tactical timeout, although I do believe the teams have one each where a coach can say, hey, let's talk about some strategies and then take a 60-second or so tactical timeout. this is a tech pause. We'll get back into the server very quickly, and Skyscraper already showing up to be quite an aggressive map that pretty much ended in like a minute and 30, give or take.
Right, it was pretty fast-paced in terms of at least the way the round started, and it looked like the Soniqs had as much of a foothold as they could ever need to really end up executing on that bomb site, but they just could not get that transition. That is where things started to go awry. But you were very right in your kind of comparison of this map to the way that Villa plays out, with the importance of those extensions, whether that's vertical or horizontal. You go to the top floor, you work your way to the other side of the map. We already saw that plan from both of these teams. Astralis, they knew exactly what they had to do on the defense. They spread as far on the map as they could. And Soniqs, they brought as much soft destruction. They brought all that utility they needed to clear that out. And even though they ended up losing the round, they did do that early part of the round successfully.
They did. I mean, extremely successfully. It looked like Soniqs was going to run away with that round. It was just going to be an easy one, go next. And then you get that wow factor where, well, a 2v4 becomes a 1 versus 1, and then all of a sudden it's just over, right? And you can maybe argue that Soniqs should have slowed down a little bit. Even in the 1 versus 1 between Rexen and Shuttle, there was like, I think there's like a minute left, give or take. You could have stood still, used the drone, played the cards of time, but instead you just go straight into the window, take the gunfight immediately, and what do you get? Well, you lose the round. So when you get the advantage, maybe hold on to it a bit more, drone out the situation, get players in positions to trade off one another. So if Astralis they swing back in a 2v4, well, make that a 1 versus 3 and not a 2 versus 3.
Well, as you can tell, we are going back into the lobby as it looks like all of our tech issues have been figured out. And here we are in round 2, and we get to see another defensive site coming out from Astralis. They started over in bedroom and bathroom, but they're going just slightly above it. One floor directly above that site is museum and office, the next site that Astralis will be looking to defend. We could see those nitro cells from below. We could see that vertical destruction, much like we saw in that last round, but we only have one of those nitro cells in the hand of Shuttle, so maybe that'll be a little bit limited.
Yeah, well, actually right now we see Castle, that is J90, who's extending across the map, trying to get that map control that you want to have as a defender, where you're not necessarily playing for your life on the other side of the map, but you want to slow down the attacker so that you can kind of play down the clock, because otherwise, if you just give them the entirety for free, well, in 20 seconds, they'll be knocking on the bomb site doors, and you don't really have anywhere safe to play. So much like Border, much like Villa, you cannot just play on the bomb site itself. You have to get active somewhere else. And this soft wall to the outside balcony actually being opened up from Astralis, something that in ranked play we typically see reinforced.
Well, I guess much like ranked play, though, it could indicate that we're going to see some run-out. So we could see some defensive aggression, because when you think about it...
Saw that the first round.
Right, that's exactly what won them the first round, but it also... We saw that in the early round, and, well, it had a couple of mistakes in it for them as well. But Soniqs, they're probably going to start this one much the same as they did the previous round. And based on this attacker lineup, it seems that that's going to be pretty certain. You've got Rexen sticking the buck. The skeleton key is something he's going to continue to bring, especially, once again, because of that soft destruction. And Yeti is going to be bringing out that breaching torch because, as you know, with Shuttle in play in those bandit batteries, it is a little bit frustrating to open the wall when those batteries are in play.
It is. Even though the kite is banned, Shuttle doing a good job substituting that operator with the bandit that serves the exact same purpose, although be it a bit more risky if you want to try and trick the walls. But Shuttle actually on the roam, he's pre-placed the batteries and gotten off the bomb site. He can get active. He has the C4 as well, but no one nearby to help him. So if Soniqs wants to kind of chase down the lurkers from Astralis, that can be some isolated kills. They're instead opting to take out the wall directly from the side, just like the previous round.
Well, something that I think, is worth mentioning a little bit more here is, of course, we've got Thorn in play, right? Those Razor Bloom grenades, not something we've seen much in pro play at all, and we're going to hopefully get to see them utilized here from Astralis. Not easy to pin down exactly where those get placed once Iconic has actually put those on the map, but we could possibly see those come in later when the Soniqs get forced around a little bit, forced to relocate and just to avoid the lethal damage that those can provide.
Yeah, so the further down the clock that we get here, it actually gets better and better for Astralis with the trap operator on the map as they do. And you also have the toxic basement forest and the smoke. 2 left. 1 has been burned earlier on in the round. Rexen and the side of Soniqs now have control of all the floors below. They got the wall into the bomb site itself opened up. So in the verticality with the line of sight, they're trying to figure out where the players of Astralis will be sitting and isolate them and get some free picks.
Well, you can see DP Fire positioned on the stairs, waiting for someone to creep their way up potentially. Grixer is sitting down below, but the stairs is not his goal. Right now he's looking to find somebody through the floor holes sitting down below. He's already used those frag grenades to open up a couple of angles, but he cannot quite spot out those remaining defenders upstairs. Rexen trying to do the same thing, but no frags being allowed to be found just yet, and that could be a problem given how long the Soniqs are taking to actually execute. The opening pick of the round is finally secured, but this time by Astralis. It's Forrest who gets the opening blow, but with 15 seconds, the Soniqs need to move in. The nade will go in from Yeti, but it comes up with nothing. Super tries to sneak around the other side of Museum here, not able to get one yet, though. Grixer will be the first one on the Soniqs to get a kill, but Astralis clap back in a massive way, shutting down the Soniqs in just a moment. I mean, that was instant, and it looked like, well, the entire Soniqs attack just got destroyed.
It had to be fast, right? Because Soniqs, well, there is no time left on the clock. Super jumped in the side window with about 14 seconds left in the round, and that just means you gotta go, and you gotta go fast. But when you're going through a single window and the breach on the bomb site as well, you're walking into like 4 or 5 different crossfires set up from Astralis. So when you don't have any utility, no grenades, no flashbangs, and only 2 ways in, it's going to be near impossible to succeed. That's exactly what happened. That means 2-0 for Astralis. They get to go to the 3rd bomb site successful all the way throughout so far.
In your experience, seeing this map played possibly in the other region over the last few days, do we know if this map is either heavily defensive-sided or attacker-sided just yet?
That is actually a great question. It is such a good question. I don't actually have the answers. I should have looked that up beforehand. I also think there's a counter-argument, which is how valid are statistics when a map is brand new, because every team is kind of learning from each other right now. I'm sure that Soniqs and Astralis, they saw it being played out in APAC and thought, oh, that's how APAC plays it. Well, we played it a bit differently, and maybe you kind of combine them both and they say, this is how we choose to play it. But you see Latin play it next week, right? And they play super aggressive. Then EU, they're all hiding in corners. They're playing super passive. So I think in a few weeks, as every region starts playing it and they all kind of learn from each other, statistics will slowly start to grow into more valid. But I think right now it's all up in the air.
Well, that's a fair point. And again, we can see if Astralis can keep this defensive streak going, they're 2 for 2. And if they want to go 3 for 3, they've got to complete a successful defense over here on their 3rd bomb site. Karaoke and Tea Room coming up next for them. Now, unlike the other side of the map, there is a little bit less soft destruction. That is possible here, but still likely to be a factor because you can see that Astralis are going for a bit of a roam. You've got Shuttle sitting down below near Restaurant trying to potentially catch out a couple of drones, but definitely a couple of players if they wander his way.
Yeah, and that's what Shuttle's been doing so far each and every single round, always with a holo B-scope as well. One of the great changes in Year 7 of Siege is that you have every single 1x scope available to every single weapon in the game. So if you're a Reflex player, well, you got Reflex on every single weapon. If you're a holo B player or a holo A player, you got that available to you too. So Shuttle, holo B player, roaming around, iconic, similar story, roaming across the maps. That's like that roam duo, if you will. But they aren't playing together. They're trying to have as much map control as possible throughout the entirety of the map to open up the possibility of a flank as well.
Also, it's a little different. We're seeing these lone roamers rather than just full extensions. They're just trying to get some individual play, try to catch Soniqs off guard if they can. We do see them playing slightly together up above as J9O is looking to get something going in Mezzanine, but not really clear that they're going for a full extension rather than just a couple of players off to the side. But the Black Stairs and this rotate over in the side of Karaoke Wall, that really seems to be the next focus for Soniqs. That is where they've now thrown a couple of their nades. They've worked a little bit of a utility clear, and they've got somebody on the window to potentially provide some pressure from the other side as well.
They do, and they got tons of flashbangs. Nades coming out now. There are 3 adrenal surges from Finke as well. So once they want to push that go button, once again, I think it'll be very, very quickly. And with Yeti on this window repel, can cut off the rotate halfway through the bomb side. And there's actually no C4s from the side of Astralis to answer back. All they have are 2 toxic babes from Forest. That's all they got in their pockets.
Well, Rexen hoping to open up this round with a pick here, looking down the long hall. Somebody positioning in Geisha, but not exposing himself just yet. But Rexen knows that kill is so close around the corner. Toxic Smoke goes out to delay this push a little longer, but Yeti swings in. Finka boost to assist, and here comes that sprint. The Razor Bloom actually catches out Yeti. That may be the first kill we have seen with that utility here in all of Pro League, but that is a hell of an opener for Astralis, and now they're looking to find a couple of more. Rexen does respond, though. Return this one back to a 4v4, but DP Fire has an angle, and now he has the diffuser down in his sight. teammates, nearly picking up another kill. 9 seconds though, the Soniqs need to push in, but they are being stopped at every turn. Rexon gets another, but he is last alive with 1 HP and no time remaining. 2 defenders still alive for Astralis, and once again, they pull off a successful defense.
Yeah, and that's Astralis once again setting up the crossfire, right? It looks so easy from the side of Soniqs on paper because walk on in, use your flashbangs, throw out those grenades, Adrenal Surge gets hit up, you push through, you even get the kill trade into that 4 versus 4. It was extremely unfortunate for Yeti that, of course, he rappelled into the bomb site, and then there's a Thorn's gadget up in the top right corner. He either runs into a crossfire, will die to bullets, or he'll stay in that corner and die to the gadget. There's no way out for him, and that really also gave Astralis a really good indication that the push is coming from Soniqs.
Well, it looks like the Soniqs will be taking a bit of a timeout there. I think that's a tactical timeout for them, and I think it is a good time that we're seeing that. That is 3 rounds in a row that they have lost, and a clean rotation.
Yeah.
Defensive rotation for
3 for 3.
Astralis, and that is always something to be proud of because now you can go back to that first bomb site you were successful on. You can refine that defense even further, and hey, if you can pull that one off, you've got 2 more sites ready to go as well. So Soniqs, they've got to go to the drawing board here and figure out what they can do to put this one over the edge. Maybe try to find that early aggression from the first round that they had.
You know the best part is they have a 4th bomb site as well. Like, and actually they chose it, right? We're now into kitchen barbecue bomb site instead. So we're going all for bedroom, office, tea, and then kitchen. So they want to get not just the back-to-back-to-back on all 3 bomb sites. They want to go back-to-back-to-back-to-back on all 4 bomb sites.
That would be quite a statement to make, especially, again, like we've said, against the reigning NAL champions who had a top 6 finish at Invite. This is an intimidating opponent and a young Astralis team who's looking to make a name for themselves in 2022. I mean, this is a great way to start for them. Of course, this is what we saw on Border in our first game. We did see a comeback made from Parabellum after they started down 3 rounds. We saw it nearly go to overtime, so it is certainly not over yet for the Soniqs. I'm confident they've got the brain power, they've got the discipline to make this comeback happen, but it is looking more intimidating by the second.
Absolutely, and from the APAC games that I did see, we spoke earlier about statistics, it was more defender side than attacker sided. But I also say that not every single team is necessarily good at attacking, and they might be at defending, because when you think about it, defenders have to basically put up a problem that the attackers have to solve. And if the attackers cannot solve it, you will just by default win as a defender. So the question always comes to mind, well, if you're not a good attacking team, you're going to have a really tough time once that side swap comes in. And right now we're seeing Astralis being very comfortable on the defensive side of things, but will they be as comfortable when they have to make all the decisions of how to counter Soniqs?
We still have 3 rounds to get before we reach that milestone because Astralis, they are looking comfortable and they are once again going for a bit of a top floor extension on this defense. Once again, we are on the other side of the map than our earlier top floor holds, but now it really is going to matter on how long they can hold the site that they were just defending. Both of Karaoke and Tea Room. Geisha is already in control of the Soniqs, it appears, and so they'll be looking to roll in as soon as they can to force this Astralis defense out. But ooh, already Forrest, that new pickup we've talked about, he's going to continue to make an impact in this map, and he's going to get the first kill.
Yep, paying off, and Soniqs in the exact same position as previously, and they're not finding success just like they did not previously either. And Astralis now setting up that crossfire, DP getting picked off, but no Iconic actually trace it back. Rexon does end up finding that kill, but Soniqs, they need more.
Ooh, Kansan gets another there, shutting down Iconic. We're back in an even 3v3, but Diffuser has been dropped, but this kill, that could put them over the edge. They've taken down Shuttle now. Kansan will be credited with a double kill. Forrest looking to get aggressive and get something back, and it works. Actually, J90 is the one who gets credited with that kill, the headshot onto Kansan, and it's going to be all up to the man himself. A top 4 fragger internationally. It is Grixer who needs to make this one happen. He's got 60 seconds, but no intel. No drones remaining. He does have 2 nades, though, trying to just guess and hope that he can catch one of these defenders out before they catch him off guard. He's got to recover this diffuser, so he'll pick that up and begin to retreat, because in theory, he could try to get a plant down. Both of these defenders are a little bit extended, not looking at the exact plant spot.
No, they're not really playing together either. I'm sure you got verticality up above, but if Grixer managed to find one player, make that a 1 versus 1, then all of a sudden it looks very possible to clutch out the round.
Yeah, you don't want to give him 2 1v1s. If he's able to take these 2 separate gunfights, it is very winnable for a fragger like him. The first one just sitting around the corner, but it looks like Astralis, they're going to be wiser. Jaina, I know he came down to support, but that's going to cost him his life. Forrest playing passively behind the reinforcement, but a grenade right at his position forces him to fall back. Grixer is now out of time, though. He needs to get this bomb down or find this frag. It looks like he's going to hunt for the frag. He's got the tree fire, and he's got the kill. Soniqs get their first round thanks to a great clutch from Grixer.
You said it, don't give this man the 1v1s, and that's what they did. 2 1v1s, both of them of which Grixer won. That's the only and first round from Soniqs, but it comes from a great play and a great clutch from a salvaged round.
Nerve-wracking though for Soniqs that they have come this close, and they needed a clutch play like that to win the round. Not something you can rely on very often, but you got to give it to them. They took the round, and maybe you can think about it as that first round, that it looked like they had already deserved. They had earned their way there, but, well, they'll take this one instead. So the 4th bomb site for Astralis, it was a valiant effort, and it would have been awesome if they took it, but the Soniqs will claim that one, and Astralis will have to change it up. Yeah, and honestly, I think the one big difference between Rexon's 1v1 and then Grixer's 2v1 is that Rexon instantly jumped in through the window, and then he died, right? It was 10-second 1v1. Grixer had like almost a 40-second 2v1. He took the time, he figured out the situation, obviously played for sound of the head drones, isolated the 1v1s, and then obviously won the gunfight. So taking your time when it's available to you, he had 60 seconds from that 1v2 situation, really plays the difference, I think, in those moments. Well, something, of course, as casters, we love to talk about is all the new changes to the game this season. And once again, we saw repick in effect as Rexon switched from the Twitch to the Buck. But one thing we haven't seen yet, at least on this map, is the presence of the Goyo. Have we? We haven't seen those Vulcan canisters yet, and that is a pretty sizable change. No longer those Vulcan shields, rather just canisters you can slap on a surface. But that area denial and the time denial that they could have is so insane.
20 seconds. You got 4 of them, but as you said, not played in this game yet. We see Ying, however, being brought out from Super, something that Soniqs likes to do on Oregon when nothing else really works, or you need a dedicated way in through the bomb site. Well, Ying is a great operator, right? Because what Astralis will do is that they'll have a ton of people watching the same area. That's the breach into the bomb site as you see Yedo's opening up. Then you have the Ying. You can toss out those Ying Candelas. It'll blind all the defenders. Then you make your way through the bomb site, and you can get the entry, get the ground, get comfortable, and therefore counter Astralis. So as long as Super stays alive, and the flashbangs on Rexon and Kansan can be utilized to clear out those ADSs, or my disc, etc., which normally would be in play, but this round, there is no deny at all from the side of Astralis, which means every single Candela, every flashbang, and every nade will do maximum amount of damage.
Well, it's also really good at speeding up their attack. It can really alleviate all the time struggles they had last time they tried to approach this exact bomb site. They pushed in those last 10 seconds, and it got them in a lot of trouble. This time, with those Candelas, you can theoretically push in at any moment. You use that flood of smokes and flashes to get you over that edge. But right now, they're sitting back, they're staying patient. They're not moving in just yet. They wanted to wait until Rexon could enter down below into the bedroom and get likely some skeleton key destruction through the floor up above.
Yeah, and I mean, they're a little bit faster than the previous time around because that was a 15-second execute. We still got over a minute to go, but you have to be worried here. If Rexon either gets picked off from his own vertical destruction, or if they don't manage to find any opening kills, what will Soniqs do? Will it just be Super saying, you know what, time to go, boys, here we are, and Forrest now reinforcing off that isolated wall to the outside of the building. That's going to give Astralis more cover on the bomb site itself, and, well, Shuttle almost lost his life, but actually stays alive.
Yeah, near wallbang there for Shuttles. Gotta be careful, but it's really DP Fire who puts himself in a bit of a pickle early on. Yeti claims the first one, and now Astralis find themselves a man down. If you're looking to get through this castle barricade, he'll just blitz his way on through, but Iconic stops him in his tracks with the Uzi. We're back in a 4v4, and Iconic, he's hungry for more, actually. He steps up and takes care of Kansan, but here come the Candelas, and here comes that plant. Looks like Jane, I know, tries to deny it, but just can't get through the coverage. It's Iconic himself who steps up to get the job done. Rexon on the coverage gets another, but now it is all up to Grixer, who gets down and finished off. Iconic going massive. A quad kill for him in that round to put Astralis back on top.
That's such a weird forecast. I'm like, look at the handshake. He's like, yeah, we got a deal there. We got the round 2v5, basically. Really nice hold again from Astralis, but I have to criticize Soniqs. It's the same story on all of these attacks. Either time is running down, or they don't find the opening pick because Astralis are just sitting still, waiting. They're not exposing themselves to those 1v1s. They're not getting picked off early. And then actually, I think there was a bit of a mistiming from the side of Soniqs because we saw Yeti punch that castle barricade, run in 1 versus 2, and the moment he died, that's when they the Candelas and Smokes came out. Imagine those Candelas had gone out first, all the defense are blinded, then Yeti rushes in. He is much more likely to win at least one of those 2 gunfights, and therefore has being able to cover Super on the plant. Yeti died, Super had no cover, and Super got taken out in the midst of all that chaos, and then your entire round is basically over if you're Soniqs.
What I did like about that round, though, is it does showcase, that brain power of Super, and that they recognize their problem. They recognize they just could not deal with the time constraint that Astralis forced them into the last time they went to that bomb site. So Super said, hey, let's change it up. Let's bring the Ying. Let's use those Candelas, and let's push in when Astralis aren't ready for it. We saw the aggression come out from Yeti as well, who just bum rushed into Terrace, making a bold play that ended up not working so well. But you got the idea. The Soniqs are looking to be fluid and be flexible, which with repick now in the game, that flexibility, it really could be the difference between some of those good teams and some of those best teams. Yeah,
Super said something along the lines of you should basically always have the perfect operator lineup that you want to have for your attack because of the attacker repick. And I would argue that, sure, Soniqs have arguably had the best, if not one of the best operator lineups, but they haven't had the most success using that. Here we see another round. Early shenanigans from Iconic. He's really feeling it from the previous 4K in the round that just happened. And that's Yeti off the board. The Jackal that went from Maverick to Jackal. That's like your quote-unquote old 6-pick style, right? The operator doesn't even see the light of day. The Jackal cannot find any roamers. You cannot shut down Shuttle. You cannot shut down Iconic himself. And you're finding yourself in a 5 versus 4 in the first 30 seconds.
Our community poll, which asked which is the better trash talker. Clearly Iconic is proving that at least in the game, he's got the advantage for sure. 10 kills for Iconic, 1 for Super. So quite a difference there, and he is clearly looking to continue that aggression. You see him running all over the map, and despite the drone that was at his feet, he was still able to catch Yeti, the Jackal, the one designed to deal with those roamers off guard. That's particularly impressive from him. So great start. Once again, Astralis still on top with a man advantage.
Yeah, and I think vibes are very good, a very important factor, especially early on in the stage, right? If you come into this game and you're Astralis thinking, you know what, this is going to be a very hard matchup of Soniqs, but then you're up 4-1, you're laughing, you're giving each other handshakes between rounds thinking, oh, we're doing a pretty good job right now. That's going to feel great. When the comms are great and the vibes are great, that's when the gameplay becomes great as well. And Soniqs, they gotta find themselves a way out of this huddle because they're not finding any ground on this map. They're getting shut down at almost every single entry point so far, and the clock, a minute left. They've just made their way into drum. They've just put down those nomad traps with the flanks and for the map control, but what are they gonna do next? They gotta try and breach open the walls. There's no wall denier from the side of Astralis, which means it's very possible, but when are they gonna do it?
Right, you've got Astralis trying to provide some pressure to make Soniqs feel a little bit uncomfortable. Right there, we saw Iconic either fake a swing or go for a little bit of a pre-fire. We saw J90 tapping away with that DMR just a moment ago, trying to make sure the Soniqs don't feel quite prepared, don't feel quite comfortable actually going for that breach.
There it is. At 35 seconds left, now we're breaching the walls. But once that wall is actually opened up from those Hibana X Kairos, we're talking 25, 20 seconds left. It's going to be so difficult for them, especially with this happening right here.
Well, Kansan gets the trade right after Forrest picked up the first, but that still keeps the Soniqs at a disadvantage. Iconic spotting the head of Super, but cannot get the headshot, and Kansan follows that up with a kill of his own. Perfect smoke, though, forcing Super to relocate. He's going to have to go for a different plan, and now Astralis has to step up to shut him down, but Rexon perfectly covers that. DP Fire gets in the sight. He gets the kill he needs. Time ticking away. He downs Kansan. He takes down the last one, and Rexon is gone. What a clutch from DP Fire, making it happen when it looked impossible.
Astralis, time and time again, stealing rounds from Soniqs. That was the round. They should have never won that, right, ever. But then DB Fire runs to the bomb site. There's no cover cutting off that rotation. 7 seconds left. Soniqs have to get aggressive, but DB Fire, he finds both kills.
The timing of that. He was able to slip.
It's perfect.
It's insane. He was able to slip into the bomb site, deny the planter. And from there, he was still in a pickle. He was still in a crossfire.
Yeah.
He had to step up, get both of those kills in 8 seconds before he got killed, right? You had both players swinging him at the same time. The Soniqs knew that they had one option, and that was converge and kill him. They couldn't pick up the diffuser in time, but he is able to look the right way at the right time. Maybe some good intel, good game sense, but clearly some good aim to win that one out.
That's the vibes. The vibes are good. We're playing good. That's Astralis right now. 5-1 split. Now you're on the attacking side. And honestly, this could just be an easy dub for Soniqs now. 6 rounds straight. Make that a 7-5 victory, whatever. Because here comes the question that we asked 3 rounds ago. Astralis on the defensive side had a pretty good understanding of how to set up the bomb site, and Soniqs didn't look super comfortable breaking their defenses. Now with Astralis on the attack themselves, are they more comfortable than Soniqs were? Do they have a good read and understanding of how the map plays out? Because you have to fight every single round to win. It looks like it's a one-sided match. But with this side swap, could easily tie back up to 5-5, for example. And then every single round is just completely tied up again.
Well, like you said, Astralis certainly feeling good, looking good, and it's possible that with that momentum, it is enough to put them over the edge, but Soniqs are not a team to give this one up easily. They're going to move into the defensive side, hoping that they can hit the reset button. They can move into this half with maybe try to just stop the bleeding that's happening right now. So Astralis on their attack, I mean, it looks like they're going to begin much like Soniqs did as well, by just entering through this map, a lot of different points, trying to provide as much of that web of control on the map that they can, just to make sure that Soniqs cannot play as fluid or as loose as they might want.
Certainly, and the one thing I think is a little bit different is that Soniqs are going for both the mute and they're going for the bandit. They want to deny the walls, the drones, the intel, etc., and kind of compartmentalize the map itself. We see now already, though, Astralis opening up that geisha wall, going to force Rexen back here, has not a ton of support except for Kens inside of Drummond, not a ton of crossfire. This shield, though, of course, I mean, it's super behind it on the smoke. That's going to help them kind of have some sort of map control on Black Stairs itself. But this Twitch drone from DP Fire, clearing out utility, clearing out ADSs, and going to make every single spot that used to be safe just a little bit less.
Well, it's not easy to use a Twitch drone rail and evade all of those defenders as they are looking to shoot it out, but DP Fire is able to pick up at least a piece of utility or two before his drone is eventually shot out. But now he'll have to do the rest the manual way. No more Twitch drones. He'll have to clear that utility with the smokes he's got in pocket, possibly.
Man, they still got 2 grenades from the side of Iconic on that finger, but that's the only set of grenades that you have. Sure, Jane Unknown has those Sophia soft breaches as well, but not in a position to use them just yet. Actually, right there, that's the first one going out. Going to create more lines of sight, but these mute jammers from the side of Soniqs are creating some issues for the hard breach of Force, who's now looking towards the bomb side, trying to get an angle, sees an enemy, but the timing does not favor him, and actually the kill slips away.
Yeah, can't just get that angle, and at least they'll have the angle down the long haul to get a couple of kills, but it's actually DP Fire to get the opener. Forrest finally gets the second. Yeti tries to step up and respond, but he cannot get it done. Only downing Iconic will be able to pick himself back up in no time, but Shuttle, nice angle through the wall. He's able to get 2 for himself. Last alive is Kansan, who picks up 1, but has to find 4 more, and that is simply not going to be allowed by Astralis. It's J90 to get the final kill, but it is now Astralis who continue to just put the Soniqs into the dirt. It is a 6-1 lead right now, and it's match point.
Almost a flawless round, too. It almost looks as if every single round Astralis are firing up and Soniqs are firing down. And it's creating this massive gap between the two teams because, well, some rounds were clutches, sure enough. But that round right there, that is just a pure one-sided fiesta favoring Astralis. It was a 5 versus 1. Sure, Kansan found 1 kill on the flank, but that's it. That's all you found. And now we see Super trying to figure out what's the issue. Is it information? Well, Valkyrie is on the board. Not an operator that has actually seen play. We're now seeing Super on the pulse instead with a shotgun. Super is playing pulse shotgun on Skyscraper. I never thought I would say or see this. Especially on day 1.
I mean, desperate times, desperate measures. I mean, they are looking to figure out something, some way to bring.
And he
this
has a skin
back.
and a scope, so it's intentional. It was chosen with intent.
I mean, he's got the black eyes. He's looking good. But, I mean, we did say, even though we all did pick the Soniqs to win this one, so that's our bad. But what we did say is it is risky to go to a map like this. And I think that risk is being realized right now. And the consequences of that are coming to the forefront because Astralis, clearly they are more comfortable, more practiced, and more prepared on a map like Skyscraper, and that just could be that we may be seeing Soniqs try to play more default, more regular, more tried and true maps in the future.
And the great thing about both of these teams, Pagan or Skyscraper, are choosing or agreeing to go here, not banning it out from the team, is that they're both showing their willingness to actually practice and play the map, and then other teams in the NAL will be like, okay, these teams play Skyscraper, I respect that. But if you're watching,
Community poll.
Yeah, you're gonna regret that community poll in this moment. Let's look at the score right now. 10-3 for Iconic, 2-6 in Super now, pull shotgun. But you're gonna feel kind of bad now if you're Soniqs, right? Because any other team in the NAL are like, you know what? They don't look that great on Skyscraper. Maybe we should take them to Skyscraper. And then Soniqs might find themselves having to ban it out next week or in following Playdays, unless, of course, that they think that this was just a fluke. That in practice, in scrims, that they are way better than what they're showing right now. Which, of course, we won't know, but we can theorize on it.
Astralis hoping to continue that rhythm and just put an end to this right now. Of course, they don't want to let Soniqs come back. If they get some momentum, we could see this one take a turn, but it is looking all Astralis right now. And Shuttle's looking to make a play. He blitzes in, but he runs into the man himself. The pulse shotgun takes him down for the opener, but Forrest is nearby for the trade. Maybe Shuttle mistimed that slightly and didn't wait for his teammate to actually get into Kitchen before making that move. Either way, he'll get that trade, and it won't cost him too much. But it will cost Forrest his life eventually. Grixer will make sure to go 1-for-1, and so Soniqs, for not the first time, but almost for like the second or third time in this map, will finally have another man advantage.
Yeah, and I think trading 1-for-1 with the pulse is worth it for Astralis, but then the trade back from Cranston, that kind of, okay, now it's not worth it anymore. Now you're playing 4 versus 3. You have no map control. DP Fire doesn't realize that there's a guy in the corner right next to you. It's an easy pick for him. That's the case in the hands of Astralis now, for Soniqs, and Astralis are looking like in a world of hurt.
Well, Iconic gets one back at least. He'll take a lot of damage, though, while doing it. So he's going to be in an uncomfortable spot regardless of what gunfight he takes next. Got to find a way to recover this diffuser, and to do so on low HP is a dangerous gamble. There are 3 full HP defenders to find. You do have J90 with some utility, but both of these players, both of these attackers that are alive, have no drones remaining. Limited possibilities for intel other than the 3 drones that are still on the board.
Yeah, but I mean, J9, has the 150. The LMG, anything is possible. Just watch here. 3 kills, 1 magazine is easy pickings for him in this particular. He has full HP, but he has to make the first move.
But only 15 seconds, and he's got to step up. Iconic does get one back, but J9 he'll just walk through the Surya gate in a load of danger here, but Kansan not in the right place at the right time. This diffuser finally in pocket. Iconic going for this plant, but here comes the C4. There goes J90 taken down. Iconic on 1 HP, able to stick the plant, able to get a triple kill. He only needs 1 more. It's a post plant for him, and Rexon now has to come back from above and get this diffuser. He only has 35 seconds. Iconic just has to sit back and wait, hoping that Rexon comes from the right angle at the right time. But on solo HP, it's such a risk, and he's looking the wrong way. He'll turn around, facing generally the direction where Rexon is peeking from. He'll spot him out just maybe, but it looks like both players have very little intel here. Rexon's the one who has to get a move on. Time is ticking, and Iconic, he's sitting pretty right now. All he has to do is wait. He's got some pings. He's got a free swing, and he's got the clutch and the map win for Astralis. There it is. He's able to pull it through, and Iconic making crazy statements here to kick off the season.
Who's the best Astralis talker, huh? You tell me.
I mean, they said it was super, but I don't know about that.
I feel like Iconic single-handedly did so much work for Astralis, and it was a bit of a slow start for both teams. They were sitting pretty, waiting for the opponents to make the first move, but then Astralis, once they got the momentum, they did not slow down for a second. And Iconic in particular, round after round, DP Fire in the 1v3, both putting up a phenomenal rounds of numbers for their team.
Well, the clutch factor is definitely there for Astralis. We saw 3 different clutch situations, or at least 2, 1 for DP Fire, 1 for Iconic. We saw another multi-kill for Iconic, not necessarily a clutch situation, but these players are feeling themselves. Maybe Call Out is bringing out the best in them. We know he's open-minded. He really wants to just put whatever he can to make sure these players are at their best at any time. But whatever their work ethic, whatever they've been doing, clearly it's working on Skyscraper to take down the Soniqs on opening day. That is quite a statement to make.
That is an accomplishment, and they can be proud of it. Like, sure, it's on Skyscraper, sure, it's day 1, and sure, it's the best one. Whatever excuse you want to make if you're a Soniqs fan, or whatever thing you want to say if you're an Astralis fan, it's just one of those, they beat Soniqs. It's simple as. I don't think we should talk about how they did it, or why they did it, what map they did it on. They did it. And they're successful doing so, and they look a lot better on their first day. And yes, it's very early days. We can't judge them now from this singular match, be like, you know what, looks like a great stage for Astralis, right? They're going to be amazing now. But it does set the tone of expectations going forward for the next Playday. Will they look the same? Because in that case, they will be looking very good looking forward.
Yeah, I want to keep an eye on this team going forward, because clearly defying our expectations. We all predicted the Soniqs, and, well, we were wrong about that. So hopefully this team is going to continue to be on the up and up, and the Soniqs, well, hopefully they can bounce back from today's pretty dramatic loss in a 7-1 fashion. We will be throwing it to a quick break, though. When we come back, we've got our analyst desk to break this one down, and we've got, well, a lot more matches coming your way. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, to the NAL Doa. Jacob and Cookies here with you at the desk. And wow, 2 rounds in. We've got our first upset here at the league. I would say, everybody, even the coin, predicted Soniqs. Astralis said, no, you're ignorant. You're not.
Coin
you're not
is not
in tune.
infallible.
The coin is operating exactly as intended. It's 50-50. It's a coin, right? That's kind of how it works anyway. But you know what? We have got Iconic with us, a player that is anything but 50-50, 100% a winner. Today, we're going to get in touch with him over at the studio in Vegas. Iconic, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, all right. Well, congratulations on the win today. I wanted to ask you, going into Skyscraper, did you expect that was going to be the map that you were going to play on, and how does it feel? Did you feel like a map coming into the NAL fresh this year after being out for so long? Do you feel like that helped give you a little bit of an edge against Soniqs?
I mean, yeah, because they didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't know what they were going to do. It was just to put more work in on that map, and clearly showed that it was us, so I'm just happy we pulled it out.
Talk to me a little bit about Thorn's implementation. We haven't seen her play in the North American League before, and you kind of took her full force. What's the idea, like either from your perspective or the way in which Call Out wanted to kind of implement her? What's the main reason behind picking Thorn, especially on a map like this?
I mean, it's just it's a new map, and Thorn's pretty good because you get 3 kind of trap gadgets with the shield. So we just kind of brought it, worked it into the strats because it's a new map, so you want to have that trap capability of knowing where people are coming from. So it's just a good overall operator. So we made it work.
Dave, my boy, all right. I want to ask you about Call Out. I want you to tell me exactly what he does for you and, how much of a positive impact does he have? And honestly, give me a comparison like too easily. And don't hold back. Give us the truth because we want to know the truth on the North American League. We don't want to assume and presume anymore. So tell us.
I mean, Call Out's just probably one of the best coaches I've ever played for. He really just kind of coaches every player differently and really just kind of upholds you and just instills confidence in you. And I think Kev was a great coach too, so I have nothing wrong to say about Kev. It was just they're both great coaches, and I think Call Out's just like our fit in a way, if you get what I'm saying.
So he's a better fit. It's not like a beef
He's a better
or anything
fit for us.
like that.
No.
All right.
I just wanted the truth, man.
Good clarification for sure.
I think we got the truth. Well, I got one more quick question before we go. It seems like, eye protection is very important on the Astralis team right now, at least, UV protection anyway. You got the sunglasses going. I saw sunglasses going on the, during the game too. What's the edge there? Do you feel like there is an edge?
I mean, Jay Shutt, he rocks the sunglasses in game. He's the Phantom Menace. All y'all on Twitter, that's his new nickname, the Phantom Menace. Tweet it, hashtag it.
All right.
Yep, you know the vibes with that. But I mean, the sunglasses we're just about fashion on this team. That's it.
All right, fair enough.
You're looking. Statement.
Fair enough. You're looking good. The team looked good today. The Phantom Menace out there, but nothing phantom about the menace that you provided to Soniqs today. That's for sure. Thanks for joining us. Good luck with the practice. Good luck with your next round. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you. You guys have a good one.
You too. All right, well, there you go. Iconic with us. An iconic look, iconic play, iconic words for us here in the interview. That was a fun one. And that was, like I said, a bit of an upset. Soniqs coming in, the reigning well, yeah.
Let's sell ourselves short.
I'm the king of understatement, all right? NAL champion Soniqs falling to Astralis. Any quick parting thoughts on that one before we kind of dive into a little bit more?
God, it's such a weird situation for the Soniqs to find themselves in. Obviously,
sure.
New Battleground, I do agree with this point. You don't really know what your opponent's going to do. You know, or you have an idea about how you want to play, but you're not certain what the attacking response is going to be, even with repick in the situation. So still, the Soniqs are not going to be kicking themselves, but have to find a really fast way to regroup and figure out if that same issue is going to crop up again tomorrow.
Yeah, well, while we talk a little bit more about that, let's look at some of the stats too and kind of tell a bit about how that kind of played a part in telling the story for that match. Because, honestly, I feel like we have a little bit less stats to work with than our previous one. It was a pretty quick victory, a 7-1 for Astralis. Cookies, look at the number. What does it say? It's pretty crazy.
Okay, well.
Wow!
100%.
We got to talk about Iconic.
Iconic.
I think we do a little bit. Probably one of his best games, period, since entering the league.
I'd say so.
Soniqs, when he was on this, that was against his former team, by the way.
Yeah.
We totally, we didn't talk about that too much. That was his former team. He just slammed him. That's why he just death stared.
16 kills in 8 rounds. Do the math backward. That's a 2.0 KD, yeah?
Yep.
That's
I
ridiculous.
dropped out of my math degree, but I can
With
tell you that is too
I mean,
I'm too afraid to do math
I
on a
usually let
broadcast.
Jesse handle the math because if I mess up a mental math bit, it's
just
horrible
not a
every
good
time.
idea.
But 100% cost alongside that KD, he was everywhere. Most of that did come from when he was playing Thorn on defense. He was able to throw those Razor Blooms down on site, go off, roam. He has a quick avenue back to site if for some reason he needs it. He can go back and rotate, especially considering the number of long angles that Astralis were holding on defense. There were just too many things for the Soniqs themselves to watch. And even if guys like a Grixer or a Kansan might be in a good spot to grab a frag or two, there's usually someone else on Astralis who can just kind of collapse on them. That's just the trouble of a new map. You don't really know where your opponents are going to be, and you have to take some time to figure it out.
Absolutely. I mean, it's interesting seeing, obviously I'm kind of learning all these maps as I go along too, and I feel overwhelmed, but it's nice to know that at least sometimes even at the top levels, the maps can kind of play a role in that too. But let's talk about some specific rounds that kind of stood out. The first one we're going to look at is round 6, and man, like DP Fire had one of the best clutches I think I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, this one was nuts. Again, we were seeing Soniqs try to enforce what their usual attacking strategy is, which is to have as many people alive as they can before they actually go in for an execute, and they have more of a cutoff here. They actually get a man advantage in this case for the first time, I think, in this entire map so far, aside from round 1. They managed to bring things down to a 3v2, and Super already has T-room position, so he wants to plant back here. He doesn't have smoke coverage, so he's going to run into this specific corner. DP Fire is about to swing in from T, find the first kill, so now the objective is kill DP Fire and you win the round. Kansan can't do it. Rexon's already on low HP. We all screamed back there in the green room, having a second to understand the magnitude of a play that drastic. On paper, it's just like, he planted in the right corner because he needed to make sure he didn't die to his smoke, and then DP just kind of shows up because nobody expected him coming back through that land T room. It was a great play from DP Fire.
Goat smoke grenade too. I can't say that enough. It's so random. It's just like this Hail Mary smoke grenade, but it's like, if Super plants in the other corner,
DP Fire wouldn't be able to see him then.
Yeah,
that's what
running in like that would have got slammed.
Yeah.
Other angle, he had to move. They weren't prepared to cover it.
And you can't even call it lucky, right? Because at the end of the day, luck is a combination of preparation and opportunity.
Right.
You found both there. Yeah. We've got another round, I believe, to take a look at as well. The final round of the match. And that's going to be the one where Iconic, of course, get the winning kill. Want to talk about that a little bit, Cookies?
Yeah, I mean, this clutch was almost as biblical as DP Fire's, but it was. So.
Sure.
We're going to pop in here and see it.
We may or may not. We're waiting to see if we've got that one actually, but
hopefully
we do. We will get that up there for you too. But I mean, it's memorable. Obviously, we just saw it, but Iconic. The part of it too is that the pressure's on in that situation. Like you said, former team. Not only that, coming into it a little bit. Again, I understate, but a lot bit of an underdog coming into this match. So not only do you have that, you've also got it on your mind if you're Iconic too, that you're basically about to win nearly as one-sided a match as possible in Rainbow Six. And so when you're thinking about all that, going into that moment, what as a player yourself, Cookies, like what goes through your mind?
Well, let me tell you.
Did you check that out?
I know for a fact he tried to look all cool in the interview and all that with his sunglasses.
Sure.
We know doggone well his heart was about to explode in his chest. Let's see.
Here we go.
Right here. I mean, it was honestly a decent round all in all. It was too much to talk about. This is just an intense 1-versus-1 situation, R6. Rexon, I will say right before this, there was a brief moment where, I mean, it was like, I think it was Kansan walked right past the planner. And so it's like Iconic gets this 1v2, he kills a player. It's just an intense 1-versus-1.
Look how much health he has too.
Yeah, I mean, and look at the operators. There's no info op. Super picked a pulse shotgun, right? And so there's not exactly any other intel opportunities for the Soniqs. And in that situation, sometimes, give or take, there's like a camera somewhere.
Yeah.
There was nothing. And I'm not gonna call it a troll, but like the way Super was playing with he was kind of running around with that pulse shotty, like, man.
I kind of see the merit. I think, I mean, in the same way that you used like Buck from down below for soft destruction.
Yeah.
But in this case, it almost felt like just intel was the bane of Sonic's existence. Like Stokes and I were talking about it in the back, how essentially abysmal their drone game was, or how it always felt like their drone economy was misused, or they just didn't have enough. They spent a lot of time doing the droning, then they would lose them, wouldn't have a flank position set up appropriately, and with all of the different long angles that Astralis had opened, there's just too much real estate to watch. Even when we saw Grixer clutch out the one round that the Soniqs won, by the way, we saw how often he was looking back and forth between wall with a sight line, wall with a rotate. Is there a soft play?
Yeah.
And that happened attack even into defense when they just didn't seem like they had enough intel to capitalize on what looked like a really defensive-sided map to start with. It just, like, what's up with the Sonics and their intel game from this one? Like, it's definitely worth a watch back to figure it out more.
I mean, we could break it down all day, and I'm sure a lot of people will be over the course of the week, but for now, we're going to have to toss it to a break soon. But before we go, final thoughts, Jacob, real quick.
Good for Astralis. They needed this, and they needed this one bad. I think it does kind of prove the way in which callouts already kind of instilled a different mood into this team, and so far, like, if we get more yelling and screaming like that from Astralis, it's going to be a very entertaining season.
All right, Cookies, final thoughts from you.
It was a fun fact that I had noticed going into this one. Astralis and Sonics, they both came, into the NAL at the same time as expansion franchises, right?
Sure.
Obviously, they were disrupt back then.
Right.
Yeah.
They had only beaten Sonics once in these 2 years, and it was in a major qual.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's it. Otherwise, they are like 1 in a million against the Sonics. Sonics win damn near every time. Astralis finally gets a key NAL win that actually matters for something here.
Yeah.
Right. Making up for it in a big way, for sure. A 7-1 victory for Astralis over Sonics. That's going to do it for match number 2, but don't go anywhere. We have more action coming up on NAL right after this. See you in a few.